For a long moment, the palace yard was silent. Mama Njideka stood frozen, caught between anger and fear. She had always shouted when she wanted, but now she was facing the prince, the queen, the guards, and the bright lamps that lit up her shame. The queen stepped forward calmly, her voice firm but gently. Mama, you are welcome in this palace, she said, but this is not the way to speak to your daughter. Mama Njideka avoided her eyes. Akwaugo stepped closer, tears shining in her soft eyes. Mama, she said in a small voice, I never wanted to hurt you. I only wanted peace. I am still your daughter. Those words make something inside Mama Njideka tremble. Her bitterness cracked, just a little, but pride held her mouth shut. She could not admit she was wrong. She folded her arms and looked away. The prince turned to the guards. Let her rest for tonight, he said. Give her food and water. No one should mistreat her. This surprised Mama Njideka. She had expected to be thrown out instead. Akwaugo and the prince were showing her kindness, the same kindness she had refused to show Akwaugo for 6 long years. As the guards led her to the resting hut, Mama Njideka felt something she had not felt in a very long time: shame. Alone in the hut, she sat on the mat, pulled her wrapper tightly around her, and whispered, Why did this girl not fight me back? Why does she still call me Mama? She remembered how Akwaugo fetched water even when tired, how she swept the compound before dawn, how she smiled even when insulted. Slowly, tears rolled down her cheeks. She covered her face and cried quietly into the night. Outside, Akwaugo stood beside the prince, watching the moon. Her heart hurt, but she prayed for peace. She whispered, Let her heart soften. In that moment, even the stars seemed to listen. The next morning, the palace woke early. Birds chirped, roosters crowed, and the cooks lit fire to prepare breakfast. Akwaugo rose from her bed and stepped outside to greet the new day. Her heart felt lighter, as if the night has washed away some of her fears. She walked towards the little hut where Mama Njideka slept. Two guards stood outside. She is awake, one said quietly. Akwaugo nodded and entered the hut. Mama Njideka sat on her bed, her eyes swollen from crying. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Akwaugo knelt gently. Mama, she said softly. Mama Njideka looked away. Her throat felt thick. Why are you here? She whispered. To greet you, to check on you, Akwaugo replied. You are still family. Mama Njideka's chest tightened. No one else had ever talked to her like this after she showed anger. Why didn't you shout at me last night? She asked. Why didn't you call guards to push me out? Akwaugo gave a small smile. Because shouting solves nothing. My parents taught me that love is stronger than anger. Mama Njideka covered her face. More tears fell. Akwaugo moved closer and held her gently. At first, Mama Njideka stiffened. Then slowly she relaxed. Her arms trembled as she hugged Akwaugo back. Something she had never done before. I wronged you, she whispered. I treated you like dust. Yet you treat me like a mother. Akwaugo shook her head. I forgive you truly. At that moment, the queen entered quietly. She saw them hugging and smiled. Good, she said warmly. Let peace fill this palace from today. Mama Njideka wiped her tears. Thank you, my queen, she whispered. The queen nodded. No more fears, no more bitterness. You are welcome here. But remember, this palace is ruled by love. Outside, sunbeams touched the palace walls. For the first time in many years, Mama Njideka felt hope. As days passed, Mama Njideka visited the palace often. At first, she came shyly, unsure if she would be accepted. But Akwaugo made sure she never felt unwelcome. Whenever Mama Njideka arrived, Akwaugo ran to hug her warmly. Mama, come and sit, she would say with a bright smile. The kindness healed Mama Njideka slowly. Even Njideka and Obiageli began to soften. They visited one day, hiding behind the palace gates, unsure if Akwaugo wanted to see them. But Akwaugo rushed to embrace them. You are my sisters, she said. Come inside. They did, Heads bow, hearts changing. Meanwhile, life in the palace grew sweeter for Akwaugo. She learned how to greet chiefs in special ways. She learned how to walk beside the prince at public events. She learned the herbs used for healing, the stories told by kings' wives, and the traditions passed down for generations. The queen taught her everything with patience. One day, she said, you will be queen. Learn well. The prince loved her more every day. He watched with quiet pride as she greeted people with kindness, listened to their problems, and helped wherever she could. Children followed her around the palace, calling her Mama Akwaugo. She gave them small beads and taught them songs. But not everyone was happy. Oma and Nwanne, the jealous palace cousins, watched her closely. They whispered behind fans. They frowned whenever the prince smiled at her. She is growing too powerful, Oma muttered one evening. Even the queen treats her like a true daughter. One Nika nodded. We need to make her look bad. They waited, they watched, and they planned. But Akugo had no idea a storm was coming. One hot afternoon, the queen asked Akwaugo to help supervise the palace storeroom. It was filled with baskets of yam, pots of palm oil, clothes meant for visitors, and dried fish. The queen said, go with the storekeepers and count everything. We are expecting visitors from another village. Akwaugo nodded and went with the palace women to begin counting. She moved slowly from shelf to shelf, making sure everything was correct. Oma and Nwanne saw their chance. They sneaked into the storeroom when everyone left for lunch. Oma lifted a pot of expensive coral beads meant for the king's special guest, and hid it under Akwaugo's pillow in her room. One laughed quietly. When they find it there, she will look like a thief, she whispered. Oma's eyes shone with wicked excitement. Okay. Oma's eyes shone with wicked excitement. Yes, the prince will be ashamed. The queen will regret trusting her, and the village will say she used beauty to hide a dark heart. That evening, the queen visited the storeroom to check the inventory. Her eyes widened. Where are the coral beads? The woman searched everywhere. Nothing. A guard rushed in. My queen, we found the beads in Akwaugo's room. The queen gasped. Impossible. Whispers spread like wildfire. Palace workers shook their heads sadly. Did she steal? No, not Akwaugo. It must be a mistake. But jealousy spread faster than truth. The prince came running, breathless. Akwaugo, he asked, tell me this is not true. Akwaugo was stunned. She fell on her knees. My prince, I swear on my parents' graves, I did not take anything. The prince believed her, but according to palace rules, an investigation had to be done. And while the guards prepared, Oma and Nwanne hid in the shadows, smiling. Their plans had worked, or so they thought. Night fell and the palace was filled with tension. Guards questioned workers. Elders held meetings. The king himself ordered, let the truth be found before sunrise. Akwaugo sat alone in her room, her eyes swollen from crying. She called on her bed and prayed softly. God, please help me. I have never taken anything that wasn't mine. Let the truth shine. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on her door. Akwaugo, a small voice whispered. It was Chima, her youngest cousin. He stepped inside, worry written on his face. He held a small bag in his hands. I heard the villagers talking, he said. They say you stole beads. Is it true? Akwaugo shook her head firmly. Chima, I would never. Chima sat beside her. I believe you always. He placed a hand on her shoulder. I came because I think I know who did it. Akwaugo looked up sharply. Who? Chima swallowed hard. I was in the corridor earlier. I saw Oma and Nwanne sneaking out of your room. They didn't see me. Akwaugo felt her heart race. Chima, are you sure? He nodded. Yes, I wanted to speak earlier, but I was scared because they are royal cousins. But you were always kind to me. I don't want you to suffer. Akwaugo hugged him tightly. Thank you. There was another knock. The prince entered quietly. Akwaugo, he said gently, the king wants to hear from you. Akwaugo stood up, her hands trembling. The prince took her hand. Don't fear, I believe you. Together they walked to the king's chamber. On the way, the moon shone brightly as if guiding her to the truth. Akugo and the prince entered the king's chamber. The king sat on his large wooden seat, his face serious but calm. The queen stood beside him, her eyes full of worry. Elders formed a circle, holding stars decorated with cowries. A guardsman placed the coral beads on a mat before everyone. These were found in the bride's room, he announced. The king looked at Akugo kindly. My daughter, he said, before we decide anything, speak. Tell us what you know. Akugo stepped forward, her heart pounding. She knelt respectfully and lifted her head to meet the king's eyes. My king, I swear with my whole heart, I did not take those beads. I have never stolen anything in my life. Her voice did not shake. It rose clear and gentle like a flute. One elder frowned. Then how did the beads enter your room? Before Akugo could answer, she felt a small hand on her shoulder. It was Chima. He stepped forward boldly. My king, he said, I saw something. Akugo did not steal. Two palace cousins, Oma and Nwanne, they went into her room before the beads were found. The room felt silent. The prince turned sharply. Are you sure? He asked. Chima nodded firmly. Yes, I saw them with my eyes. They sneaked in and left quietly. They did not know anyone saw them. The queen gasped softly. The king looked at his guards. Bring them at once. Moments later, Oma and Nwanne were dragged into the chamber. Their faces were pale. When questioned, they tried to lie, but the king's eyes were deep and wise. Speak the truth, he commanded. The gods hate lies. Finally, one Neka broke down in tears. It was us, she cried. We hid the beads. We only wanted to make Akugo look bad. We were jealous. Oma lowered her head, ashamed. Forgive us, she whispered. A thick silence filled the room. Then the prince spoke in a steady voice. Akugo's heart is pure. Jealousy may shake a tree, but it cannot uproot truth. The king nodded. Punishments will be given later. For now, let all people know that Akugo is innocent. Tears rolled down Akugo's cheeks, not of sadness, but of relief. Truth had won. The story of the beads spread through the palace like a fast wind. Workers clapped when they heard Akugo was innocent. Some even hugged her as she walked past. We knew it, they said. Goodness cannot hide. The children danced around her, singing, Akugo is free, Akugo is pure. But Akugo did not dance with pride. She held Chima's hand and said, this boy is the reason the truth came out. The queen smiled warmly and called him brave child. That afternoon, the king gathered everyone in the palace square, chiefs, workers, dancers, and even villagers who had come to visit. My people, he said, jealousy tried to darken our home, but the truth is stronger than any trick. Tonight, we celebrate not only our princess bride, but her good name. People cheered loudly. To honor her, the prince asked Akugo to dance one more time, not for marriage, not for choosing, but for joy. Akugo blushed. My prince, I did not come prepared, she whispered softly. The prince laughed gently. You are always prepared. The drummers began a slow rhythm. Akugo stepped into the center. She lifted her chin, her waist bead clicking softly. She began to dance, her movement gentle at first, then stronger, sweeter, brighter. Her waist rolled like water moving around stones. Her feet glided like breeze across leaves. Her smile glowed with freedom. People clapped widely. Even those who once envied her now admired her with open hearts. Mama Njideka watched from the crowd, tears wetting her face. She looked at Akugo with a mother's newly awakened love. She whispered, forgive me again, my daughter. I did not see your light. After the dance, the queen lifted Akugo's hands. This palace is blessed, she announced. Akugo came here with humility. She has won our heart with truth. The prince looked at Akugo with deep love. She had survived loss. She had survived maltreatment. She had survived jealousy, and still she shone. Months passed. Akugo settled into life as the prince's wife with grace and joy. Every morning she woke before sunrise to help the cooks prepare food. Every evening she walked through the palace, making sure the old people, widows, and children had all they needed. Her kindness spread like warm light across the kingdom. The queen took her everywhere: meetings, ceremonies, harvest festivals. People bowed to her not because she was royal, but because she was loved. Akugo is truly a daughter of peace, elders said. Mama Njideka visited often. She always came with gifts now: fresh yam, roasted groundnuts, handmade clothes. She washed Akugo's feet during one visit, begging forgiveness again. Akugo gently lifted her up. Mama, she whispered, your heart is new. That is enough for me. Njideka and Obegeli apologized too, and Akugo embraced them as sisters. Chima became one of the palace's favorite frequent visitors. The king gave him a scholarship to learn with the palace scribes. For bravery, he said. One cool evening, Akugo and the prince sat under the tall tree inside the palace yard. Fireflies floated around them like tiny stars. Akugo, the prince said softly, when I first saw you at the gates that day, something inside me stopped. It was like my spirit already knew your name. Akugo blushed, looking down. I came only to watch, she whispered. I never imagined my life would turn like this. The prince touched her hand gently. You saved this palace with your kindness. Even when treated badly, you still remained good. Akugo's eyes softened. My parents taught me that love is stronger than pain. The prince smiled. And your love has healed many hearts. The moon rose high above them. The breeze carried the smell of palm wine and roasted yam from the village below. It was a peaceful night, a healing night, a night that whispered, great stories are born from gentle hearts. Years later, Akugo became queen when the prince became king. Under their leadership, the kingdom grew in peace, kindness, and love. People from far places visited to learn from Akugo's wisdom. She built homes for widows, opened schools for children, and planted gardens for the hungry. She never forgot her parents. Every year she visited their graves with flowers and songs. She never forgot her uncle's family either. She built them a new home and helped her cousins find good husbands and wife. Mama Njideka became her closest helper, always by her side, smiling with gratitude. As queen, Akugo danced during festivals, not for choosing, but for joy. Her dance brought blessings. Some said even the rain fell softly when Akugo danced. Children grew up hearing her story. Mothers told their daughters, be like Akugo, kind, gentle, and brave. Fathers told their sons, look for a heart like hers. Her name lived in the songs of drummers, in the whispers of old storytellers, and in the smiles of every person she helped. And every night, when she walked through the palace with the king beside her, the moon followed her steps like an old friend. Akugo, the girl once neglected, mistreated, and forgotten, became a queen loved by all, young and old, rich and poor. Her story proved one truth: kindness is a seed that grows into greatness. Love is stronger than pain, and light will always shine, even if darkness tries to cover it. And this is the end of today's story. But remember, every folk tale carries a hidden wisdom, a seed of truth planted deep within our hearts. If the story touched you, made you laugh, or opened your eyes, then don't let it stop here. There are many more tales waiting to be told, full of mysteries, laughter, lessons, and suspense from the heart of Africa. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next story. And if you enjoyed this one, drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, your laughter, and the lessons you are taking with you. Until we meet again in the next story, stay curious, stay inspired, and let the spirit of our stories keep your heart alive. Subscribe now and become part of this growing family of storytellers. Bye for now.